make it at night. Show ya. Show me the call you when you turn me on. The way you tell me you want me down. Done it, I done this before you falling. I won't catch you, don't know I'm stalling. Cause you love to have them all crying. Calling me sweet, telling me you need me. But I'm from a city that's high school. I give them this and
the technical difficulties, it seems, but that is the way a cookie crumbles when it is day one of the Nordic League. So things should be underway now. Hopefully we won't have any more technical issues, but that's just the way it is. Anyways, back on into it. Of course, I'm joined by Tudors.
Knocking on wood, obviously. That's the first thing that I want to do in this stream. Knock on wood, because you've just cursed us for the rest of the evening. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, deep down, a part of me is really starting to think we won't be able to cover this single best of one matchup throughout the rest of the evening. Everything is just going to go haywire. Everything's just going to go straight into the fan. It is not going to be fun, but we do have one matchup only for you guys this evening. It is going to be Viking Esports going up against Major. That's just their name title, Major. You try to search it up on HLTV, you don't get that team. You get every awesome competition that has taken place aside from Major. But still, this particular matchup is going to be played on Mirage, and I can't really think of a more logical and overall just comfortable way to start off this Norwegian league right here for these two squads.
Yeah, of course. Mirage, it's a very played map. Everybody's played it. Everybody's seen it. It's been played by every team on the face of the earth. So we should be able to see some unique strategies come out of it, or we might just see more of a Puggy style. Because, I mean, you play Mirage at least twice a day if you're playing CS consistently. If you're in a face of Pug, you might be in MM, you might be doing whatever. But, of course, that's just the way it goes. And so, I mean, we should be able to see some very theoretical play come on out of this. They should have some decent theories when it comes down to it. We could be seeing some very solid executes, or we could just be seeing them running with mid control and trying to pug that out. So I mean, it can really go either way when you're on that T side, and of course CT sided a little bit. I mean, that's up for debate at this point, because I mean, it's been played so much. Everybody knows how to play that T side, but on the CT side, of course, they're gonna be looking to lock that down, shut it up, and make sure that they're ready to go for the rest of the matchup. But it should be fairly interesting to see what we do have come out during this best of one of Mirage.
I do hope that it's going to be a relatively evened out matchup. I'm not exactly expecting the kind of scenario in which we're going to be going to play and see all 30 initial rounds of regulation. I really doubt that we're going to be able to go to OT. I do think that we might probably just surpass 26 rounds in total, maybe finish off 16-10. Not exactly sure, but it really depends on who is able to actually get the ball rolling on that CT side primarily. You did touch on the fact that T side, people know it like the back of their hands, and they've had more than enough time, actually a span of a couple of years, to be able to just rinse and repeat that and sort of optimize and perfect the T side strategies. But when it comes to CT, I do really think that at the end of the day, it is just where the meta is right now. There is no other way to avoid it. I do really think that whoever is able to string together the most CT rounds, whether that be 9+, I do think that we're aiming for a bare minimum of 9 rounds on CT to actually really get ourselves a good crunch up of a match.
Yeah, certainly. The CT side's going to have to be strong if they want to do anything with it. But when it does come down to that CT side, of course, that A1S being buffed in the past year. Now, it's been a minute. It's not a new buff anymore. It's been around for a little bit now. It's been here for a couple of months. But it should be interesting to see how that does play out with that, because, of course, the smoke sprays, those have become way more overpowered in the recent months. So, of course, we'll be looking towards that to see if those CTs can really use and abuse that new mechanic, really, that's there. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what we do get out of it, but of course only time can tell what will be the conclusion of this matchup.
Yeah, indeed. I do believe that our observer is going to be hopping into the lobby relatively shortly, so we won't have to keep you guys waiting for that long. So we should be getting into game relatively soon, so we can actually crunch our teeth directly on some good old-fashioned CS action from the Norwegian side of the Prime League. I'm super duper stoked for it. I really cannot actually just wait to see how exactly this matchup is going to obviously transcend and transfold over itself. It's going to be really, really cool. And on top of that, I'm also really excited, not necessarily just for this week right here, but I'm excited more so for the weeks to come, because we'll be able to then actually get acquainted with the remainder of the Norwegian teams that are participating out of the total of 6. And we can actually see exactly how they're going to stack up against each other. It's going to be a really, really awesome time right here for Prime League. And it's quite the journey that we have ahead of us.
Yeah, it really is going to be quite the journey. Of course, I'll be on the Norwegian League, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do have come out, because, of course, it's a league with a little bit less teams. Norway's not exactly known for Counter-Strike at this point. They certainly have produced some good players, but this is where they can really start to get more of a base when it does come to that player base looking to go up. And having this, having these national leagues can really help improve the scene. So it's going to be interesting to say the least what they will be able to do. But it does look like the knife round is now underway. It's Major versus Viking Esports. The knife round will determine. We'll be switching to that C, T, or T side. And right now, looks like Major's going to just run through them.
Yeah, indeed. So I really do think they are going to stick with this CT side. Obviously, you just kind of want to curb stomp the side of Viking Esports to the best of your ability, string together as many rounds as possible on that CT side, like I touched on just a little bit earlier, and really just set the pace. It does obviously begin with that initial pistol round to see exactly how Major are going to be playing it out. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if, for example, Viking are willing to full-on commit to a B rush. Obviously, in that initial pistol round, the most that you really want to take out is maybe an upgraded pistol or two and a couple pieces of flashbangs. You're not necessarily going to expend so much of your cash on smoke grenades to go for a full-on execute. I do really think that's where the money's going to lie for Viking in this opening round.
Yeah, that really will be how that does work on out. It does look like the pistol round is underway currently. I think we're having a little bit of an issue. So we should be back into the matchup pretty good. But it should be interesting. Does look like this pistol round is now underway, and things are starting to go. Mad gonna be able to find that first one onto Temporary. A shot starts to come on out. The T is trying to run out onto this site, and it's certainly working out into their favor. Vikings getting an initial advantage. Finally, some shots starting to go back and forth. Mad tagged down ever so low. Things starting to pan into their direction, but it doesn't look like that's going to be allowed, as Mako and Enza are the last 2 men standing over here for Major. This could be the end of this round fairly quickly if we're not too careful.
Seems like it's going to be so. A tag team duo, and time is starting to expire relatively quickly. Martinis with that USP as salvage from below will be able to shut down Mako, and Enza won't have a say in the matter either whatsoever. A flawless start off to this Viking round, or this Viking Esports T side. It looked relatively convincing, and I was a little bit just disappointed the fact that Zayden wasn't able to have that much impact, stood over by Hell underneath Palace. That was a power position, and he kind of just threw himself under the bus, and he was quite literally sniffed out almost instantaneously.
Yeah, it does look like into the second round, Viking Esports are starting to feel around the map a little bit more. They're looking to see if there's any early aggression to come out of Major. They have a player and that's not going to work on out. Zayden showing up, unlike he did under Palace, going to be able to find that first frag. Takes him out with the USPS, and now things are really starting to get underway. Not having that head hit right there is going to be the death of Hudson.
I mean, I do think that he actually had a helmet on. I did hear a dink or two, but obviously... I think, what was it? All 4, if not 5 of those USPs, they certainly are scarier than just the one. And when you collapse upon a single player just like that, it becomes that much more terrifying. Temporary, able to find one as the bomb plan is indeed going down. 3v2 scenario as Martinis and Mad Lad Pete, they are lit up quite heavily. But the MAC-10, it does come alive. And Zayden, with the mountain to climb, won't be able to barge his way through the smoke. And that is a secondary round picked up for Major. But all in all, I gotta say that it got relatively scary, in Viking Esports, they really played that particular save round as if they had nothing to lose, and they were able to stir up the pot quite a bit.
They certainly did. A lot of econ damage done to Major into that one. But they do have the op to start to work with. Those USPSs out of Viking Esports looked absolutely lethal. Into it now, it's going to be a little bit more conservative out of Major coming into this one. They're going to be looking to really feel out the map into this one, because they know that the rifles are there. They know the A1Ss are going to be on the field. And there should be a little bit of utility as well. That's what they're going to know, and now it's time to see if that's going to be able to be used over on the Viking side. They don't have a round to the name just yet, but Zayden's starting to light it up, finds out the first one.
Okie doke. First blood drawn, so that's already a good start off for this CT round, but they've already exhausted all of the utility which they brought to the table, which, mind you, wasn't all that much. We still got one decoy and one flashbang active, but those won't really be able to be put to good use as Enza, he's being bullied, harassed, and he will be shot down. Temporary trying to hold down Jungle, finds one, but takes another to the grave alongside himself. Martinis now trying to stick the bomb plant, exposed to Ticket Booth. It will be shut down. Somebody has to recover that now.
Yeah, this has become kind of dire here for the side of Major, but they are able to find one out. The up of Mad Lad certainly doing the work. Finds the first, and now Zaitin's starting to push through the smoke. Wanting to play a little bit more aggressive. He's got to be careful. He could have the jump on these players, but for the current time, does look like he's going to wait it out, waiting for the bomb plant to, or the bomb sound to start, at least for them to go ahead and try and re-peek into this and play this in a retake. But for the current time, it's being played out kind of slowly. Shots start to come on through, but the headshot gonna be good for Supermo, and that will be a third round for Major. Currently running through it.
Definitely so. It did get a little bit dodgy, a little bit touch and go here and there, but the fact that they were able to actually claim control of Connector that easily because of the fact that, you know, that window was smoked off, there was no way that Viking, and if I'm not mistaken, it was actually either Enzo or Temporary that was actually in there at the time. They had no way to contest it, so Khan, free territory, and the one player that was sat over by Jungle, they were instantly iced out, and Major was so easily able to take control of that A bomb site. If that is the recipe for success for this T side, then Viking Esports are going to have to read into that sooner rather than later, because their CT side, it relies upon it.
Certainly the CT side really not looking too hot just yet. They do have Deagles in this round. Let's see if they're going to be able to find a conversion or get some eco damage done with this one. But of course, this up AK combo being as powerful as it is, Mad Lad sitting at 6 kills currently, 6-0. Absolutely looking like a beast right now.
He's gaming,
really,
straight up.
Yeah, gaming. But right now, a little bit of tags coming on out, but Putzner going to be able to find that first one to Temporary. The Deagle not able to go off like it needs to. Not ringing out or singing out. So it's being played off decently slowly.
Smoke over towards, I believe that is Khan. It's also going to block off a little bit of a view, but I think they're just trying to give Viking Esports a false sensation of comfortability right over here, as we do have a full stack of 3 players currently inside of Apps. Vans will be smoked off, or at the very least mollied off. Nade stack only deals minor damage over towards Savvy, but the rest of the party is now there to have some fun. Martinis finds 2 somehow, shuts down all of the presence inside of that B bomb site, and it's all down to Zaiden. It's a clutch or kiss scenario, and he's going to get nothing but smooches after that one. 4 rounds for the count on the side of Major.
Certainly. Major absolutely looking fantastic on their T side. We were talking about that CT sided control that CT side definitely needs to have, and right now we're not seeing much of it. Of course, that could be changing into this round. Of course, this is the all-important 5th rather. We do need to see these AWPs, these A1Ss do their job. But for the current time, being played out slowly. Bit of aggression coming out from Major, looking to get that mid control, trying to control the map a little bit more. But for the current time, there hasn't been much given up by Vikings. They're looking to play back towards sites. They're not looking to overly aggress it, and so far working into their favor, not allowing too much information to be gained thus far.
Enzo smoking off lower con, so he can at the very least maintain overwatch of that short side. There is a good crossfire set up that he's got going on alongside Enza, or alongside Mako, excuse me. But Major, they kind of fought themselves into a little bit of a stalemate right over here. They have plenty of mid control, and they have one player that is on the bench, lower side window by me, who is, by mid, who is willing to pounce and will be shut down for their transgressions. Mad Lad Pete also finds one retort, as Savvy will be able to trade it out once more. So Viking Esports, they hold on to that man advantage, and Major, they're starting to run out of time, down to the last 40-ish seconds of this round number 5.
Yeah, certainly. Played out slowly, passively, not wanting to overdo it. It's Major. Still looking to get onto one of these sites. Shots come on through. The A1S going to ring on out. And Savvy going to be able to claim that one. Brings it down to a 2 versus 4. And things seemingly have fallen apart. The up from Mad Lad still looking good as he does find one. The spray down not going to be good out of Supermoen though, as it is just brought down to a 1 versus 3. Kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. And he's going to look to save. But at his backline, Zaitin don't find him out. And that will be the first round going the way of Vikings. Things starting to look good for them.
Definitely so. This play over towards mid was extraordinarily influential on the side of Viking. I mean, they really just kind of played the game of patience right over there and waited for Major to either get a little bit too complacent with their possessions on the map, and then they would simply just pull the rug out from underneath their feet. And it worked out really, really well for Viking Esports. Better, though, is the fact that they were able to strip Major of one of those AWPs, so they no longer have that strict one-shot, one-kill weapon on their side, and they were already able to get themselves the opening frag, courtesy of Enza's FAMAS, who will now be shut down at the hands of Supermoen. Mad Lad Pete also strikes with one onto Mako, so this round, already going a little bit south for the CTs, unfortunately enough.
A little bit south coming on through as the CTs do start to run through it. Savvy looking good. Now brings it down to Mad Lad and Putzner. Find themselves away onto these sides. Putzner going to be eliminated by his back, being turned to Zayton. Then get all down to the Mad Lad of Pete. He needs to find himself a 3K here, but right now it does look like maybe a save to come through. It's going to be played out slowly, passively. He's going to be looking for picks, but not much else.
No, I mean, he is top fragging right now in the server, so if there's anybody that you want in the clutch scenario, it would definitely be Pete right over here, but come on, I mean, let's be realistic. There's no chance in hell that he can salvage this round unless Viking Esports just simply hand him isolated 1v1s on a silver platter, and I think that's exactly what he's trying to gather. At the very least, deal a little bit of econ damage towards Viking Esports, maybe walk away with a couple of dignity frags, but sadly, other than that, there's not much else that he can really accomplish. I do believe he has bomb, because I don't exactly spot it out on the minimap, or I might just be blind, but still, as time continues to draw itself on out, Savvy goes for the Cold Zero, shuts him down with the AK, and Viking Esports get their second round.
Yeah, good shots coming on through. Vikings really starting to turn up the heat here, as they do have a little bit of aggression to work with in that previous round. Savvy really showing up and shutting them down, as he did play a little bit aggressive there in Palace, and that really won them the day there.
It did.
Coming into the 7th now, you have a pistol round for the first time out of Major. Having to eco into this one. They got some Deegs to work with, as well as Glocks and P250s. Right now, it does look like a bit of aggression starting to come on through. Decently, it looks like he wants to get some map control pretty quickly, but Enza saying no thank you, as he does find two, Putzner and Martinis. Gonna be eliminated. Now, Mad Lad Pete, Supermoen, and Evil kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. They don't have too much to work with.
No, and I think those two entries, they came over towards Palace because that's where the bomb has gone down. Mako continues to capitalize, and Savvy also joining in on the fun. Last bullet in the chamber, good for the headshot, and that is Viking Esports really just putting Major in their place, but it is to be expected. That was just a measly little pistol rounds with 2 Deagles. That is all that Major actually had to show for it. And now we can actually finally get back to the meat and potatoes, as I do believe they've got more than enough cash to get themselves some AKs, minor bits of utility over there. Only 2 smokes, a flash, and a nade, which is not all too much to write home about, so they'll have to use these util really, really wisely if they want to accomplish something in here.
Yeah, so far, so slow. A little bit of tag damage going out both ways. Now that kind of it's stuck in between fire and a wall right now. We'll be able to survive through that. Enzo saying hello as Martinez finds one with the nade. He got some good damage. Look at this. Finds himself a 2K. Needs to find a little more if he does want to keep the site wide open. His teammate's not really around him. Could be selling a fake to allow them to go towards B. I think that's what he's doing. Shots come out. Savvy going to find him out. And now Major really need to make their way out on towards this B site if they do want to get the plants and get into post-plant positions. They're playing it very stealthily. They don't want to be found out from behind just yet. But it does look like the rotate's starting to come on through. Savvy looking to make his way over to Apps. And that could be the killer move for the side of Vikings if he is not found out in this position.
Seems to be the case. We do finally have Mad Lad taking up that position over towards Van, so there is some overwatch towards Apps, and he could potentially shut down Savvy before he has any kind of impact. A single round will do it, but Mad Lad looks in the wrong direction, and now we do have Evil at least chime in, retorting back with one of his own onto Zayden, relegating this down to a 2v2 scenario. Savvy finds one simultaneously. Mako gets the next. A clean sweep in that 2v2 scenario is going to ensure that Viking, they tie up the scoreline.
Absolutely beautiful coming out there. That retake, not flawless, but certainly effective in that 2 versus 2, able to find those kills pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it was also Martinis that sort of was the playmaker in that particular scenario. I mean, despite the fact that he was literally across the globe over by that A-bomb site, he was able to find a two-piece, which was simply paramount towards Major being able to, you know, step foot inside of that MTB bomb site, and it really worked wonders for them. Here, though, we do have a scout surrounded by Deegs, and we've already lost 2 of those Deegs in this forced eco round buy from Major, and there goes another one. Ziden will be able to simply dome Evil in that scenario over towards Apps, leaving us in a 5v2. Not much that the rest of the side of Major can really do in this scenario, sadly.
Yeah, this is not looking too great for Major. They just have that SSG D to work with. Shots do come on through, nothing connecting for him though, leaving Martinis all alone. And he's aware of a player, but I don't think he's going to find him out. Yeah, nope. The A1S going to find him. That will be the end of that round. 5-4. It's fairly competitive thus far. Vikings finally seem to really have a wind in their sails. Now Major starting to falter a little bit, but it is the buy round. This is the round they really need to show themselves in.
Exactly. They have already maximized out their loss bonus. It really can't go up any higher than $3,400. So they really got to ensure that they can tie up the scoreline right over here, because this is kind of just the ebb and flow of EUCS currently. Once the CT side is able to build up so much momentum, it becomes a staggering effort to be able to dismantle it. And Major, they are struggling just a little bit too much. They've already lost out on 5 rounds in a row, and it could get worse.
Yeah, it certainly could get worse. Savvy, looking for one, will be able to find it. Playing over there on Tetris, kind of a unique possession when it comes down to it, but it certainly does the work. Bringing it down to the 3 versus 5. Supermoon going to be looking for one, going to spot out Savvy, finds the head through the wall, going to put him down, and brings it down to a 3 versus 4. Things starting to look a little bit more risky here for Vikings as they do lose that player. They're looking for a little bit more. Putzner knows the location of 1, knows where 2 are. That's going to be a very good informational call. Only loses a little bit of HP out of it. He's going to back on off, not want to overdo it.
No, not in the slightest. That opportunity was missed, and even if he was able to walk away with another frag, I mean, you can definitely bet your bottom dollar that Ziden below the window would have instantly gone in for the trade. But now that Supermoon has got a couple of friendly faces surrounding him, it does seem, as in these last 35-ish seconds, they're willing to gamble it all on a B-bomb side exec. They've got plenty of util to actually make it happen. They will need a flashbang on entry, though, and they've only got 2 players to actually cut down before things can actually start to bear a little bit of fruit.
Push starting to come on through. Putzner and co. really looking to get their way onto this B side. Evil going to be able to find out one. Does get capped, bringing it down just to 1, and Putzner going to be eliminated as Mako tapping away. Going to find themselves a 6 there for Vikings. Things looking really good as he does have that AK in hand. Yeah, could be starting to get their CT side really rolling.
It's starting to look a little bit scary. He played that to absolute perfection, holding down his ground within that B-bomb site. Couldn't have gotten any better. They simply lined up, but the thing that actually made it just a little bit more, let's just say a little bit more tangible, was the fact that Temporary actually lobbed in a flashbang to the point that the last 3 remaining players on the side of Major, all of their retinas were burning. It was just picking up freebies at that certain point, and it worked out so greatly for Viking. They're going to be reaping the rewards once more as Major are relegated to a slight bit of a force buy with that scout surrounded by Deegs, and the scout no longer in play courtesy of Enzo.
Yeah, that scout not going to be allowed to be used all too long. As shots do starting to come on out. Martini's showing up, saying hello, but Ziden there for the refrag as Evil does find one of his own, bringing it down to a 3 versus 3.
Okay.
Getting rather risky here for Vikings. They're losing quite a bit of econ with those 2 kills. They need to find themselves these players pretty quickly and really get this information, but current time, everybody's really spread out, and that could be doom here for Vikings if they're not too careful. Martinez has picked himself a nip. A1S. Putzner, no way. He has got so much information, so much room to work with. He's going to miss those first shots, and he's not aware where he is just yet, but certainly gets the work done, leaving it all down to Savvy. Savvy's shown up in previous rounds, and certainly could show up here. Top frag for the side of Vikings, finds the first, leaves it all down to Putzner. Putzner does have his AWP in hand, picks it up, tries to get the first shot out, isn't allowed, and now time is running out. The defuse coming out through, could find it, but it's too late, and Savvy to clean him up. And AWP going to be picked up in a 7th round for the side of Vikings. A round that really could have been turned around by Major.
it started to actually get turned around to the point that it was looking so scary for Vikings, because in the early portions of that round, they were biting off more than they could chew. They suffered 2 casualties for being a little bit too overly aggressive inside of T-Spawn and inside of Apps as well. You saw that, I think it was actually Zaiden, if not it was Enza, who was deep inside of T-Spawn. They lost their lives, and the same thing went for the other casualty inside of that B-Apps. And then Major had a real chance of being able to pull it back, and they certainly did, but Savvy, this man shows up when he receives the call, and he won't let Major get any more rounds as long as he is alive. But now that they have been able to expand their lead even further, it's getting a little bit more scary once more. Supermoen keeps Enza in check, shuts him down, and we're back in a 3v3 scenario with some mid-control established, but not quite. Now it is, though. Savvy down for the count. Lovely pop shot, courtesy of Pete right there, and that opens things up so much.
Yeah, it certainly does open things go up, but it's brought down to this 2 versus 3 as Major now do have the advantage into it. They just gotta be careful about where they're positioned. They don't want to be found out too early into this. And there's a lot of aggression being made. Look at Putzner. We're here in window, looking for the first one. Might toss a smoke on down. Let's go signal over to the side of Vikings. They need to get this rotate and look to do this retake on into it. Zaitin's starting to pop some shots through smoke. Nothing really connecting. As Temporary could be found out here. Is aware now. And Putzner, too quick. Gonna find him out through the vent. And just like that, Zaitin should back off here. Doesn't want to overdo it. Tag down ever so low to 40. There's not much he can do here.
Nah. He has fought off the feetsies though, and gets caught with his pants around his ankles. Let's get some F's in the chat for that one. Still though, Major, they've been able to put an end to the bad spells that they've been experiencing, and they finally are able to buck the trends. They've gotten themselves a 5th round right over here, and if worse comes to worse, they will walk away and move into that second half with a 10-5 split. Obviously, they got a couple more rounds. They got a little bit more business they want to achieve right over here, and it looks like Mako, he's hungry. His jowls are salivating for some of these teas. Then they jump straight into his LOS, but no! He will be cut down, and the same thing can be said for Temporary. A gamble not paid off though by Viking. Oh, it's gone horribly awry for them. This CT site is crumbling, and there's nothing that they can do to salvage it.
Yeah, no, this is falling apart to epic degrees for the side of Vikings. Trying to gamble around, find a few early frags, playing aggressive, but certainly doesn't work on out, leaving Savvy all alone. Now 1 versus 4, not much that can be done, not much to do. Just gonna be looking for maybe an exit frag, maybe find himself 8 pick as well, but for the time being, he's just gonna be looking around, trying to find a few.
Keep that A1 intact. That's really all you can do realistically at that in this stage. So we're just gonna probably transition into a little bit of a season right over here, where we're just waiting for him to either be killed or for this 40-second timer to entirely expire. Still though, it's good to see that Major have been able to get themselves a hold on Mirage right over here, and they were able to, as I said, buck the trend and stop Viking from expanding their win record and lead that much more exponentially. Savvy will be able to find one and can trade it out for an op, so that's a good recovery right over there, and you know for a fact that Major are willing to hunt him, but Martinis, he will be shut down, and at the very least Supermoen is there to catch him, so that sniper rifle will not be kept intact. They can, however, reinvest into another one, but obviously Cash on the side of Viking Esports is looking rather strapped.
Yeah, it's beginning to look a little bit more dicey here. They really started to get the wind of themselves. They're able to claim those 7 rounds, but now Major starting to fight back. Could put a halt into this and allow them to get an allow themselves to get advantage of all of this CT side to come up. It would be interesting to see if Major can start to really convert these rounds, or if Vikings can be able to stop them as they did previously. For the time being, it's being played out slow, lots of mid control being gained, and so far, no one being spotted out.
Not exactly sure what Viking are going over here. There's there's effectively 2 rounds left over in this opening half, and they have effectively committed so much cash towards investing into that op as well as a couple of A1Ss. They are banking on the fact that also these Deagles will be able to chime in and also get a couple of frags stringed out, but thus far ends as the first to fall. Savvy, though, holds down the fort, finds a second, narrowly gets away with the second, but he's been bought back down to 0 HP altogether, and Pete will also be able to join in on the fun himself. Ziden claws back by 1, but they've lost out on all of the weaponry that they invested. Nearly, Mako finds one over by Ticket Booth, and he's got Mad Lad Pete watching him like a hawk, goes in for the swing, and no, Pete actually loses out on that engagement, and Supermoan will be able to claim the life, the head of Mako, as Ziden doesn't have a weapon in sight to grab onto, but he has a Deagle. Supermoan on 16 HP can go down rather easily, and there it is, a crucial shot landed by Viking. Won't be able to make it in time to recover that off, but still, that is a W.
Yeah, no, that right there is extremely rough there from Major. That should have been their round to win. He was facing up against the Deagle. Of course, the Deagle was in one-shot potential at that point, so he was just looking for a single shot to get that on out, and that's going to allow Viking to get a little bit of a buy up. They do have A1Ss, they do have a carried over AK, but something to note really quickly is those 2 MP9s. They're going to play up close and personal, and he's certainly doing so. Enza finds one, Savvy finds the other, and just like that, this A site is shut down for business as Temporary finds one of his own, leaving it all down to Mad Lad Pete. Got himself an AWP. The initial shot will be a bust. We'll be able to find the second one though. Enza falls, and if they do push him a little bit too aggressively, they could find he could find a little bit more, but for the time being, when he played out slowly, and they're not going to do too much more.
Nah, there's no reason for Viking Esports to bite off more than they can chew. It seemed as if that was the plan that they were going for initially, but it worked out to perfection. The flashbangs, they were so perfectly timed, and there's no other way to sugarcoat it, but Major, they were simply caught with their pants right around their ankles. This gamble of actually whipping out the MP9s at CQB range, it was the right call. Whichever way you want to slice it, Viking Esports, they had a plan, they went through with it, and as such, Major, and never in a million years would they have expected that kind of aggressive MP9 rush towards that T-ramp side. Coupled with the flashbangs, it is a recipe for disaster if you were on that T side of Major.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be an interesting T side to see if Vikings are going to be able to have the same success that Major did. Of course, they were able to get a little bit done there, get that 6 rounds, but now it's 9-6, and the shots start to come on out. Viking, Evil able to find the first 2 as Savvy does silence him, brings it down to a 3 versus 4 advantage, going the way of Major, but that could be changed. Supermoan looking good though, going to be able to claim one more. The headshots are crisp and clean, but Savvy and Enza saying no thanks and starts to turn it around. And there we go. Tap. Hutzner looking good. Finishes him out and gets that bomb defused, allowing Major to get that 7th round on the board. Viking, they could have had a lot of momentum into it, but that's going to be halted right out of the gate.
Yeah, definitely so, and it was at the end of the day, it was actually Supermoan, if I'm not mistaken, that was the initial playmaker, because he was at the very, very tippy top of T-ramp, and he was able to kind of duck his way and avoid those flashbangs at all costs, and he was able to get 2 outstanding headshots despite being cyberbullied by all of the T's, dropping the bomb and forcing the side of Viking to slightly backtrack so they can actually recover that bomb and go back for a plant, which bought the side of Major so much extra time that they initially never had to begin with.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I didn't see that round going their way as they got onto site so quickly, and also were able to get that bomb down. But those USPS is just tapping away, 2 and 2 and then 1 to finish it off. That was absolutely stellar coming out of those USPSs. But now, the second round here in the second half, rather important here, as we do have Galils and AKs in the server for Vikings. But right now, they're not being allowed to be used, as the shots from the A1Ss are crisp and clean, able to finish them on up.
I mean, you could definitely tell that Viking was so hungry to be able to hit double digits. They literally spent every single penny they had on Arbor and Galils, and thus far is finally able to actually bear a little bit of fruit. Enza finds one, and coupled with the frag that Temporary is able to put down on the board, it might give them a realistic shot, but China, he wasn't cleared on out. Temporary with an AUG recovered, is able to cause a little bit of chaos, but guess what? Martinis, he's right at your behind, and the MP9 is good for yet another frag. A1S is recovered, so Major haven't exactly lost out on much of their investment from the previous round, but I can't exactly express or share that sentiment with the side of Viking. They will be forced to save a little bit this time.
Yeah, they certainly will be forced to save into this one. This could be allowing this tied game to get underway, though. The Deagle's looking to do some damage, nothing being allowed just yet, and Savvy being tagged down ever so low. Tagged down 68, just above 50 HP. Oof. Mad Lad gonna be able to find one out with the AUG, and just like that, he's starting to get underway for Major. I'm still looking for these Deag shots that are going to be there. Gonna be crisp and clean. Does look like B is the way to go. Martini's gonna be able to find out one shot still coming out from him as he finds a second, looking for a third possibly. But Potsner to clean that up, and Savvy now all alone. The top rank for the side of Vikings sitting at 21-11. Diggle in hand will be able to find the head through the wall. Beautiful shots out of him. Could start to do a little bit here, collect himself an A1S. He should just back on out here and look to save.
Definitely so. Don't really overextend your welcome in this scenario. You've got an A1S, maybe just hide over by TV, chill with a little bit of Netflix, and yeah, just keep this intact for the next 55 seconds. And I don't really suspect Major will be trying to hunt him all that much because they're a little bit strapped for cash as well, but I guess I'll have to eat my own words. They've just given Savvy an isolated 1v1, and you can see he is hightailing it over towards that A-bomb site, or so I thought. Instead, he sets up camp over towards mid, but unfortunately enough, Evil was one step ahead of him. And Viking Esports, they will walk away from that eco round with not all too much to show, but they are able to put up a fight in this round number 19. The fight to see who can hit double digits first begins now.
Yeah, that's going to be certainly the fight to get things going. Of course, up in hand for the side of Vikings. We do have that on Temporary. He's the one that really needs to show up here. Bit of a side note, though, over on Major. They're just rocking with the rifles. No AWP to help that long-range advantage, especially to help control mid. But for the current time, looks like they want to give that up. Just allow the side of Major to really, or the side of Vikings rather, to get themselves an advantage when it does look to get themselves for this map control.
Map control is actually being gathered rather quickly. Not gonna lie, Viking Esports, they've nearly been handed this mid-control on a silver platter, but a part of me is starting to think that Major might just have some kind of trap set up. It doesn't seem apparent right now. They do have plenty of presence inside of that A-bomb site, but Mako might be trying to throw a wrench into those gears, as he has been able to sneak in unnoticed, or so I thought. Super Moen shuts him down, mows him down more like it, and now they're starting to waltz in onto the A-bomb site, but it's been horribly miscalculated. Major, they've got this one on lock. The CT side comes alive in Viking Esports. They didn't stand a chance in hell.
Yeah, that right there, that is really unfortunate for that T side, allowing Major to go ahead and get that double digits. Now 5 rounds away from match point. They could be starting to look to close this out, as they should be able to claim an 11th as well. Just going up against some Deagles into this round. And up now in the hands of Mad Lad. Gonna be looking to try and shut down any mid control that is trying to be gained by Vikings. And for the current time, played out slowly. Shots start to come on out. The triple peak works into their favor. Gets a heck of a lot of damage done to Mad Lad. Tagged down to 17. Now it's gonna be played out decently slowly. Just looking to see if there's gonna be a peak come out from either of these sides of the map.
Oof. Enza will be cut down as well, and Molly's going to force Vikings to backtrack just a little bit more. And as you can see, we've got one player on that CT side that is willing to swing mid from short, but unfortunately enough, the timing doesn't really actually match all that well. And Savvy, the one scout that was actually so deep inside of Abs to gather a little bit of intel, has been mowed down as well. And now the rest of the Viking squad, well, they started to hightail it over towards BAPS, but they've got the time and the opportunity to change their minds and go with something a little bit different. They're looking for some kind of kill. They've been able to deal a lot of damage. They've showed that to us at the start of the round, but the lethality simply isn't there, and it should be with his Deagles.
Ooh, Supermoon gets a lot of information though. Gonna start to warn them about Nectar, but shots from behind start to come on through. Zayton tagged down ever so low. The op rings out from Mad Lad, finding one of his own, brings it down to the 2 versus 4, and these Deagles really starting to make some headway towards the site.
Ooh.
As they do find one. The Deagle shot gonna be good. Mad Lad to find one more, brings it down to a 1 versus 3. The shots from Temporary, not connecting just yet. Will finish it out, picks himself up in AWP, and needs to get himself planted, but the shots coming all through from Khan, not allowing him to get the plant just yet. The op is good. Look at that from Temporary. Beautiful, but Putzner to clean it up. Not going to be aware of one coming from CT, and 11th will be claimed by the side of Major.
I'm sorry, but that initial shot in the 1v2 scenario from Temporary's op, that was just disgusting.
It was absolutely mental.
That is the kind of stuff that I would literally clip right now and just spread it all over social media. I had something dirtier in mind, but obviously I can't really say that.
Yeah, certainly. It was certainly a beautiful shot coming on through. Evil not going to get that peek on through, going back on off, just wants to go ahead and allow Viking to have a little bit of space to work with. Doesn't want to be overly aggressive and be caught out early. I don't blame him on that. Try to gain some information, but doesn't want to over push it just yet.
Not for the time being, but they are making quite a little bit of headway over towards short, and it does seem as if a B exec is what is going on through the heads of Viking right now. Concern narrowly looks away the wrong moment and will be capitalized upon. Martinis, though, holds down the fort. Once again, a triple for the count before finally being shut down for his transgressions. But look at this Evil. He's already deep inside of that B-bomb site. He was able to sneak by unnoticed. And there it is, Temporary once again in the 1v2 scenario. Has to be able to relive the glory of the last round. And it's down to Major to see if they can get this defuse in. Temporary taking a boatload of damage through the bench. Will be able to find one, but Supermoon quickly claps back. And that is a successful defuse once again coming on through from Major as they hit and find their 12th round.
At 12-9, Major, a lot of momentum now. We're going to be seeing these AWPs, these A1Ss really ring on odds. But now Viking, they're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. They do got money to work with, but it's not enough for an AWP and the server. They're going to have some utility, some AKs to work with, and that should be enough. But I can tell they're going to be able to gain the map control. They've been able to get themselves on their sites. They just haven't been able to play that post plants all too effectively. It's been down to just the man of Temporary each time. Stuck in a 1 versus 2 with an op in hand. And
I entirely
that's not
agree.
a great position to be in.
I mean, Viking Esports, they can almost 100% secure a bomb site with an iron grasp, but there is always one small little crack, one small little chink in the armor that Major somehow find a way to exploit. And this is a good start off at the very least. Enza finds one, traded on out. Maka retorts once more. Putzern is now down for the count. 4v3 scenario as the B bomb site has been entirely compromised. And Major, well, I'm suspecting that they don't want to take the bait, and they will simply give Viking this round for free, as they are a little bit strapped for cash as well. If they lose out on these rifles, then they might not have the economical stability to reinvest into it into the next round. So the Viking Esports, they worked for that dignity round to say for sure, and at the very least they will be able to hit double digits themselves over here. But now, obviously, the most important factor about Viking Esports' T side is that they've gotten this initial round. They haven't won a round since that first half. They need to be able to snowball that, because otherwise Major's simply going to run away with it.
Yeah, right now we could be seeing Major run away with it. They do submit that 10th round to the side of Vikings though, and they do have some money to work with. That was a smart move. They had one of their players stuck down on $650, so going ahead, saving over these rifles, and then buying up into the next is going to be their best bet. That was certainly fairly smart by them. Now Vikings, they still got to fight this full rifle round, and it could be rough. That Molotov coming out early, but sadly looking to say, hello, I don't really care. Molotov, just run through it.
Yeah.
Finds himself one, brings it down to 4 versus 5.
Ooh. And there it is, Temporary also chiming in with one of his own, and he's hungry for a little bit more. At the very least, he can confirm that jungle is has been rendered an unplayable portion of the map, and now the rest of Major, they're trying to mount on this retake, but it's simply not working out. I don't think that Viking Esports are having it, but Mad Lad, he's willing to cause a little bit of chaos, and then Martinis as well is looking to join in. They have been able to cut down the HP of the 3 remaining players on the side of Viking quite heavily inside, and will be cleaned up though. Mako and Enza, they've got 118 HP between them, and somehow they're able to keep the dream alive for just a little bit longer. Martinis finds one, and the wide swing is something that Mad Lad simply was not expecting. Viking Esports put themselves 1 round away from tying things up.
Man, that right there was extremely unfortunate by the side of Major. They were really hoping to claim that round and stop any aggression out of Vikings, but now the momentum's starting to shift. Let's start to go back in the direction of Vikings as they look to possibly tie up this game yet again. Of course, this is a bit of an eco round out of Major. They're just looking to deal damage and maybe disrupt the economy of Vikings. They can deny a bomb plant once or twice. We're feeling pretty confident about it. But of course, the AKs and AWP in the server now by the side of Vikings, it really could start to get underway for that T side. They haven't had too much success just yet. Now things could really start for them.
Oh, Putstern not able to deal any kind of damage, and he will simply be swarmed on out. Mako will be rewarded with that opening right over there, and the B bomb site once again has been left up for grabs. P250 good for 1 as Enza mows down 2 separate players on the CT side of Major, and now, well, the last 2 remaining survivors on the side of Major, they are stuck inside a CT spawn, and Savvy, he's already caught their scent. I'm actually really impressed with the performance that Savvy has been able to put up. He literally carried over the best bits of his CT side and is able to properly translate that to some T success as well. He's there on the entries, but he won't be there to see the end of this round. A lovely shot to put him right where he needs to be, but still, it is a round dub for Vikings after that eco save from the side of Major.
Oh, Lord. Side of Major kind of faltering there in those previous 2 rounds, but it is the rifle round, and it is the map, and this is the round to determine who really could be taking this matchup. This is such an important round. They're in the 25th. It's 12-12. This one can disrupt the economy of either team greatly. It's a must-win round for Major. Look at that econ scale. Absolutely nothing in the bank. Players on 0s, players on 50, and only $100 to Mad Lad's name. Now it's time to see if they really can pull this one out, because Viking, they have a little bit more money to work with.
Yeah, I mean, together on the side of Major, you've got enough money to maybe pay for like a year's worth of Netflix sub, and that's quite literally about it. And it's only going to get worse from this moment onwards unless Major can pull themselves together on this CT side. They've already lost out on 1 casualty. Supermoan will no longer have any kind of impact, but this is where we need the likes of Martinis and Mad Lad to actually step up. And Mad Lad, he's going to be shut down. Savvy was just zooming by a little too fast towards jungle, and the bomb plant will be successful. Major down in the dumps right over here, and Putstern not even too quick on the trigger finger. Enza will walk away unscathed from that engagement, and Martinis, well, he's about to be in a world of hurt. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, stuck over here towards the B site. A 5 versus 1, nothing to be done. Just going to be looking to go ahead and save over this rifle. They do not have the money to work with, and this could be taken away by Vikings. Here and now, really, it's gotten really close. The econ not going to be great. I don't know if they'll have much of a buy here for the CT side, if any. Might see some upgrade pistols, but that'll be just about it, as Zayton does take off his head pretty swiftly. 13-12, 2 away from that point. Major, only 1 behind. No money in the bank really to work with.
Remember how I said that we might not make it all the way to the 30th round of regulation at the very start of the stream? I think we're slowly but surely strolling towards that direction. I don't know exactly what we can expect from the rest of this CT side on the side of Major, but that was the round that they needed desperately to win, and now I do feel as if their sort of chances to be able to pull it all the way to OT have simply been flushed down the drain. That is the sad truth that is just springing to mind right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. That Molotov missing just by a little bit there, not allowing them to move on out. This is, of course, just a deal round. There's only 2 players remaining for Major, and should be looking at 14th here. Things looking a little bit more rough here for the major side. It was looking like they could have taken it away earlier. Now, that momentum has faltered entirely. It is in the direction. Ooh, swift little 2-tap and Mako.
Hello.
See him. Oh, a lot of information gained. That's disrupting a little bit of economy, but not as much as you would hope. Of course, eliminating the player of temporary, taking away his up, should be a good econ kill, but he's at 12k. He's got tons of money.
And this kill over here, as Mako found the first one, I think he just accidentally mistook Putzern for an extraordinarily tall trash can, because like he could have been seen clear as day, at the very least to us. But that was just a bit of a funny moment. It was a little bit of a it's just a bit of a haha.
Yeah, I know. It's like it just didn't say anything. Now shots starting to come all through. Mad Lad Pete looking to play like Coldzera, it seems. Wants to find himself too, but the players jumping on out a window here, not gonna allow him to really get too much done. But Putzner and co saying hello and goodbye. Putzner, oh my lord, should be on for the ace, should be able to get it. But Evil going to take that away from him, and that will be a 13th round for Major. Keeping the stream alive, not letting map point be achieved just yet. Oh lord, this could get dicey. This is coming down to the wire. We could be seeing OT, but look at this from Putzner. Absolutely beautiful out of him.
Definitely so. I don't know exactly how he was able to actually keep himself so calm, cool, and collected, because let's be fair, it was utter chaos right up there. We were basically in the depths of hell towards that B bomb site. That's what it was converted to, and Putzern, he just simply fragged out. There is no other way to put it, and Major, they really needed that round. They simply required it more than anything else, and they are able to once again keep things competitive here on Mirage. Putzern coming alive once more, shutting down Enza. Will be left on 47 HP, but guess what? He's still got a gun in his hands, and that's what it's all about.
It's all down to the 4 versus 5. Enza Ord being eliminated, and Zayton following suit there. Both meeting their grave. Allowing the side of Major to really have the advantage into this one. Of course, Savvy and Temporary still alive as Mako does fall. Oh, dear God.
Uh-oh.
This is looking like a tied game yet again. This is going a couple rounds for a couple rounds now. Both these teams fighting their hearts out, looking to win this map out.
And now Temporary creeping and crawling his way through towards T-Ramp. He would quite literally need to channel Simple into his inner self to be able to pull this one out. And do I see it happening? Nah, probably not.
Probably not, but of course. All right, there will be another round for the side of Major, allowing them to get tied up.
Yeah, definitely so. 14 all, and things continue to remain hot and very highly competitive and contested right over here. We will see all 30 rounds of regulation, because obviously none of these teams have yet to hit match points. And when we do hit that, we could see an outright win for either one of these two squads, or we may have OT on the menu right over here. Mad Lad is completely insane with that AWP. He finds 2, goes in for the 3rd as well. He wants the 4th. He shuts them down. And Viking Esports have no say in the matter whatsoever. Mako, as the smoke dissipates, will be claimed. Evil courtesy of that one, but I swear to the Lord above, Mad Lad was able to put up the numbers. He lined them up, knocked them down, and he made it look so easy.
Oh my lord, that right there was extremely rough. Oh man, 14-14. Mad Lad having a show, finding 1, 2, and then looking to clean up the last. Won't be able to do it, but certainly puts it out for them. Now looking to recreate that. Looking for these players possibly towards top mid, possibly underpass. Are all possession underpass, and that could spell doom for them if they're not too careful.
Definitely not, and this is what could potentially be the final round in Viking Esports. They've got nothing to work with aside from a Galil, 2 MAC-10s and 2 Deagles, and they are starting to slowly but surely walk into the meat grinder once more. Mad Lad draws first blood. The MAC-10 won't be able to sing a sweet song of death this time around. In Major, they still maintain that man advantage, but some damage is being dealt. Savvy finds one onto Putcern, and that MAC-10, fortunately enough, won't come alive as Super Moen will be able to shut down Mako relatively quickly, but the AK, it is doing its job. Martinez finds one, and simply, surprisingly I should say, Enza manages to scurry onto the B-bomb side looking for a plant, but it's going to be tricky to actually get the bomb down in this scenario as you've got 3 players waiting to pounce inside a kitchen. Bomb goes down, and now it's time for the CTs to move.
Yeah, the CTs now have the ball in their court. They have to look to do this unless they want to take it to OT. Now Mad Lad starting to peek out, looking for the players. No one in position for him to catch him out just yet. I'm going to work towards Van and over towards the site. Mad Lad can be able to find the first. That's the start that he needed. Zyg's able to find one, but that will be it as Evil finishes it off and puts a 16th onto the board for Major, taking the match into their favor.
Man, their CT side started to look a little bit dodgy, at the very least, towards that middle portion of that second half. I mean, they started off really well after being able to build up so much momentum after that pistol round, and then they sort of got into a little bit of a slump, and we saw the side of Viking only be able to put up, I think it was about, what was it, probably about 5 rounds. They went from 9 to 13/14, and that's where things finally started to level out just a little bit more. And Major, they were able to, once again, just regather themselves, take a little bit of a breather. Despite the fact no timeouts were called, we did see a little bit of a mental reset go on there. That is just simply how the momentum shifted, and Major picked up the slack. They delivered. That was an outstanding performance on their side.
Yeah, it really was. It was absolutely outstanding to come out Major. It was looking a little bit dicey there in the first half for a little bit. There in the second half, it looked like there was a chance for Vikings to go ahead and try and collect themselves a couple rounds and collect themselves the matchup. There was a couple times where it was like, oh, Vikings possibly could finish this here and now, but then Major just gonna pull it out, finish it out, and then that was that. Beautifully done out of them, bringing it as close as it could have been without going to OT. And we do see Major take it away. Absolutely stunning by them.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the side of Vikings really didn't put up a fight, because trust me, they did. We had star players on their side. I specifically want to highlight Savvy, especially in that initial CT half. My oh my, he was able to rip and tear his way through to the point that he looked a little bit scarier than the Doom guy himself. I mean, how many times did we actually see Savvy on his CT side with an A1 as just sort of go to unknown territory where he definitely doesn't belong? He was simply put a fish out of water, jumping right into a frying pan, and then somehow still being able to put up kills left, right, and center. We saw him in T-Spawn. We saw him, for example, during that MP9 play over towards T-Ramp. We saw players such as Savvy and Temporary really keep the dream alive and really just drag the rest of the squad through any kind of, I don't even know, they just basically nearly dragged them over the finish line, and it was a great, outstanding performance on their side, but they would have really wanted that W to back it up.
Yeah, they certainly have. They certainly would have. They certainly would have. It was a bit unfortunate. Savvy, of course, I really did enjoy watching him play that because, like you were saying, he played aggressively, and there on rep, not only did he push on his own, but Enza did join him there with the other MP9. And
Very
because
true.
of Enza, he was really able to get a lot of aggression out there, and a lot of put those 2 kills up. Enza able to save him, find one, and that really won them that round. But of course, doesn't pan out into their direction, and it does go the way of Major. Absolutely beautifully done. It was a wonderful matchup to see there on Mirage. But I do think that is all from us today. We don't have another matchup to come on through.
No, this was technically the shortest live stream that we had throughout the entire week at Prime League over the 4 major regions, I believe, but obviously the action doesn't necessarily stop right over here. It may just end for this week, but we are going to be back obviously on Monday, and if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be kicking things off with the I think it's the Danish League, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
think so. It's definitely going to be. I think the actual schedule sort of goes like where on Fridays. I do have to double check that because I am a little bit of a goop brain when it comes to it, obviously. So no, we obviously are going to be returning on Monday with the Swedish Prime League on Tuesdays. Finnish on Wednesdays. We've got the Danish, and then obviously the Norwegians will be dealt with on Thursdays. And every single one of the live streams, unless we do put up just a notification up on social media. By the way, go follow us on Twitter, leagues.gg, so you can stay up to date on everything and anything that is going on within Prime League about schedules. Visit our website, which you can find in the panels down below, as well on Twitch, to just see what's what. And yeah, that will sort of round things off for the first opening week of Prime League. I personally had a major blast in talking to the other casters throughout the entirety of this week. They also had so much fun as well, so I'm really excited to see exactly how we're going to progress things here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Anyways, folks, I do say that is all for us today. We will be seeing you guys again coming into the next week, starting on Monday and ending Thursday. Should be a great week of Counter-Strike ahead of us. So long league ahead of us, and it should be a lot of fun. Anyway, I have been Degade, known by Two Doors. Been an absolutely fantastic cast, an absolutely fantastic match. We'll see you guys into the next one.
Baby, turn it down, make it sweet and ready. Go slow, keep it nice and steady. Know that you've been keeping patience. Too bad I've been sticking on your mind. I know you like it how I rock it from behind. I know you stand it, how you taking all my time. Left, right, can you take it all night? Too bad I've been sticking on your mind. I know you like it how I rock it from behind. I know you stand it, how you taking all my time. Left, right, can you take it all night? Take it all night. Show ya. Show me the car when you turn me on. Cool way you tell me you want me down. Done it. I done this before you falling. I won't catch you, don't know I'm stalling. Cause you love to have them all crying. Calling me sweet, telling me you need me. But I'm from a city that's high school. I give them this and the more I go. Cause you a bad money, she don't love money. She break hearts real fast like conman. Wanna swim down to the deep end. Wanna know all my secrets, honestly. Can you keep it real? Cause honestly, I can tell that you're real fond of me. Baby, don't be shy, I can see it in your eyes. I've been running around. Too bad, I've been sticking on your mind. I know you like it how I rock it from behind. I know you stand it, how you taking all my time. Left, right, can you take it all night? Too bad, I've been sticking on your mind. I know you like it how I rock it from behind. I know you stand it, how you taking all my time. Left, right, can you take it all night? Take it, baby, baby, I ain't scared to take it. Oh, and maybe when I take it, oh, I feel it coming down too strong. Cause I want ya, and it's hard to resist cause I need ya. And it's hard, baby, yeah, cause I believe ya. Hold me tight, holding on tonight. Holding a cuppa, get to you clean and proper. Way I'm moving a weekend lover.